Hello, everyone. We are happy celebrating the Global Media and Information Literacy Week 2024 with our colleagues and partners from the two UNESCO Media and Information Literacy Networks, the University Network on Media and Information Literacy and Intercultural Dialogue, and the UNESCO Media and Information Literacy Alliance. It is a great celebration because I see that it is like a family gathering with all my friends and colleagues. We have been working together with Alton and all the speakers for over 10 years since the UNESCO Network on Media Information Literacy and Intercultural Dialogue was launched in Perez in 2011. We welcome all the speakers, a warm welcome to all the registrants and our friends and colleagues from the Media and Information Literacy Alliance who decided to join us. They can contribute, they can comment, and they can give their questions. Members from different parts of the world who decided to join us, they are all welcome. So we are celebrating this Global Media and Information Literacy Week with a mixed feeling of joy, but also of concern about what is happening in the world and the escalating wars and disinformation and hate speech and all these things. We thank José Manuel for this initiative because he is the initiator of thinking about setting a global research agenda for the coming 10 years. I am Professor Drissia Chouit. I have the honor to be a co-moderator of this panel discussion with Professor José Manuel Perez Tornero. I am the current co-chair of the International Steering Committee of Media and Information Literacy Alliance, founding member of UNESCO University Network on Media Information Literacy and Intercultural Dialogue, and I've been very active. Actually, I am a professor at Moulay Ismail University, a professor of Comparative Linguistics, Communication, and Media Studies. I have the great honor to be also a visiting professor at the Autonomous University of Barcelona. Let me present the Professor José Manuel Perez Tornero. He is the actual lead of the UNESCO University Network on Media and Information Literacy and Intercultural Dialogue. He is a journalist and professor at the Autonomous University of Barcelona in Spain. And he is the director of the UNESCO chair on the Media and Information Literacy and Quality Journalism. He was a former president of Radio Television in Spain, RTVE, and former member of the steering committee of the European Broadcasting. We are happy and glad to have you with us. Thank you for your cooperation, Professor José Manuel. The floor is yours.
Thanks to you, Drissia. And I'm very happy to see our friends from Sherry, Esther, Alton, Sami, Abdelhamid, Alexander, because I am sure that you will have answers to my questions. And then this is my honest question about the world. There is a long time ago we are working on the field of media literacy, but I feel that just now the world is changing very rapidly. If you think about digitalization, the globalization, artificial intelligence, all of you agree that we'll live in the next decade in a world completely mediatized. That means we live on media. It not only we will suffer the impact of media, that our life will be mediated. And then I am sure that we'll need to rethink our vision of media literacy. What happens with the technology for the future? What can do media literacy movement in relation with artificial intelligence, when probably we will have at our disposition a mega machine smarter than our brain. This is a big risk and a big question, because we have the opportunity to use for positive objectives this artificial intelligence, or we are in the risk to be controlled by this mega machine. Then I think we have a lot of questions about research, education, about action, which are our priorities. What we can do as a researcher or activities in media literacy. I am sure only one thing: we must change. Because the world has changed, has enormous change. Think about the last election in United States, the new powers around the world, the new wars, the new conflicts, the new disinformation. I think all this situation is completely new and require a new focus on research and action on media literacy. And then I have a lot of questions. I am sure you and all the team together, we can try to start to begin to answer this question. This is the last thing I would like to say for the beginning to start. Thanks, Drissia.
Thank you, Jose. Yes, we have to keep pace with changes happening in the world, as you say, globalization, digitalization, the opportunities offered by artificial intelligence, and the risks and challenges as well, and the wars, and how to build peace. So these are very hot concerns and to be tackled. Now we will move to, we welcome Esther. How are you, Esther? Who has joined us. We move to Dr. Alton Grizel. Alton is a friend and colleague. We have been working together for more than 10 years. Just a brief introduction. Alton Grizel is a happily married husband, father, and a person who loves and respects all people. He works at the UNESCO headquarters in Paris as program specialist in communication and information. He contributes to the coordination of UNESCO's global actions on media and information literacy, and is a formal focal point on gender and media. He has written about and designed initiatives on the topics of media and information literacy, gender, equality in media, youth education, and media development. Alton has diverse education and experience. Before UNESCO, he was an educator, a principal at secondary school and adult vocational training levels of the education systems in Jamaica. He is a trained teacher and holds an MSc in computer-based management information systems from the UWA and an MA in media and communication from the University of Leicester in the United Kingdom, and a PhD in communication and journalism from the Autonomous University of Barcelona. Thank you for your continuing cooperation, Alton. The floor is yours. Abdelhamid, could you please mute yourself? All other invited speakers, could you please mute yourselves? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Chouit, and all the colleagues and partners who are connected. As usual, this is a family gathering, and UNESCO is very honored to be among you today. We are particularly appreciative of the unwavering commitment of the media and information literacy community globally to keep MIL on the international development agenda, and now pushing for MIL to be on the international research agenda, because there is an international research agenda for many international development partners and different stakeholder groups across the world. So UNESCO really want to hail and to acknowledge the collective intelligence and commitment that is represented on this panel, I think spanning at least 3 decades of action and research around media and information literacy. So again, thank you very much. And yes, and I bring you greetings from the entire MIL team in UNESCO and the bosses, our Assistant Director General, Mr. Taufik Jolassi, and also our Director General, Audrey Azoulay. Now, with that, I just want to be clear now, very rapidly, Professor Chouit, do I have 6 minutes to speak, or do I just a brief introduction and then we come back to speak?
Yes, you can speak, and then we will come back to the discussion.
Okay, so if it's just an introduction, let me just say one more thing before we continue, in connection with this this panel and the move, the initiative to establish a global media and information literacy research agenda. And I want to quote the Dutch philosopher Baruch Spinoza. And he said, "He who knows how to distinguish between true and false must have an adequate idea of true and false. He who knows how to distinguish between true and false must have an adequate idea between true and false." And so as champions, as advocates, as vanguards for media and information literacy, which UNESCO considers you, all of you were connected, and so many others around the globe, this research and agenda begins with self-reflection, in terms of our past contribution, where we're coming from, where we're at now, where we are going. And we're happy in UNESCO to be facilitating that process. With that, I'll stop if this is just the introduction, and I'll come back to some of the key priority areas as we see it from UNESCO. Thank you.
Thank you, Alton. Yes, evaluation is important to let us know what we should do next. José, will you introduce Alexandre?
Me, of course. Alexander is one of the most active people today in the world of media and education and media and information literacy. He's in activities in TV. He has his own program about media literacy in a Brazilian station of TV, and he's always studying, and he has published a recent book about how artificial intelligence can influence the world of media and information literacy. I think he has a good ideas to propose us. Then, Alexander, thanks a lot for your participation. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be among all of you that I admire so much. Great friends, great people, great researchers. And after Spinoza, Alton, it's hard to say something, but I'll do my best, you know. After quoting Spinoza, I'll do my best. I'll try to touch 3 points that I think they are very important, that I've been observing and always departing from the point that we need to face reality as complexity. As I always mention Edgar Morin when I bring this concept of complexity from maths. Well, we are not dealing with it's not only polarized reality, it's interconnected realities in several layers. And so when we address media and information literacy, it's important for us to address within this complexity or towards this complexity, and do not ignore it, because otherwise we're gonna preach we're gonna preach to the converted ones, you know. And we need to make MIL a kind of, I always defend it's a kind of culture, a lifelong learning culture of MIL. I think this is what we need in simultaneous areas, like to be within the curricula, but to be within the art itself, to work with cinema, to work with plastic arts, to be within the city, to be within the university, to be in the television, in the radio. You know, it needs to be a culture. We need to take it from one separate slot and put it as a culture in our lives to make it efficient. Yeah. So making those observations, I can say 3 things. One important thing is that I was looking to that session of the UNESCO Autumn in the website with all the resources for MIL, and it's really rich. It's really, there are a lot of resources there when you can address to schools, MOOCs and podcasts to informal education. And then there is one resource that UNESCO is working with since 2018 in Lithuania and Latvia, which are the MIL Cities platform. Actually, in Latvia and Lithuania, the Global MIL Week, the featured event was Media and Information Literate Cities, Voices, Powers, and Change Makers. And so after this year, with a lot of research and debate, UNESCO has released this operational guidelines for policies on media and information literacy cities, which I think it's important for us because we consider the aspect where we live in to develop an MIL culture. And we live within the city, we live within the community. It can be a rural, it can be a urban community, but that's where we live. And thinking about it, I was researching all the most of the great national public policies that we admire nowadays. I will give an example. The housing, the most successful housing policies in the world that started in Sweden to give house to everyone, started in a municipal level. Even welfare state started in a municipal level and then became a national policy. So most of the policies start within the city. So it's important for us to stimulate local policies and local arrangements with NGOs, libraries, museums, and create a kind of network within the cities to develop MIL. This is my first point. My second point is about democracy. I think we are going through another cycle of threats to democracy around the world. Sorry to be so political, but it's impossible for me to be so optimistic about it. Yesterday there was a milestone all the CEOs of the big techs congratulates the elected president with a harmful embrace. And people with technology nowadays are people with power. And for those who use the technology, we need to tackle that. We need to touch this issue with an MIL aspect. What I mean, empowering the digital influencers, empowering people with MIL knowledge to understand how does the digital ecosystem works, and how can we be prepared for an era where everybody has already a kind of power with technological languages and tools in their hands. So I think we're gonna face now a really technical, social threat to democracy. A new area that is going to merge politics and technology in a sense that we have never seen before. This is one thing. And the third thing, just to finalize, is about the process of that I'm really obsessed with AI generative and lifelong learning now. José Manuel knows it very well. And there is one writer in Brazil called Mário de Andrade. He used to say they express narrow intellectuality or weak intellectuality when you're obsessed with some specific point. I think I'm really poor intellectual or narrow intellectual. I'm really obsessed with some small points. And then he told it to a poet called Carlos Drummond de Andrade, who created a poem called "There was a stone in the middle of the way. In the middle of the way, there was a stone." And he created a poem only with one word, trying to repeat this word. And this was a kind of narrow intellectuality. Mário de Andrade said, I identify myself with that. I think we need to pay attention in the objects nowadays. When I say the objects, it's how AI as an object influences the way we live, and how AI as an object can influence the communication environment without necessarily being with a human presence. Objects has a role in communication that sometimes we put it aside. And I think we can pay attention in Bruno Latour and other anthropologists that starts to put objects in the sphere of influential things because of AI. And just to conclude, I think lifelong learning will be the next milestone for AI now, and it has something directly connected to what I have just said before. So thank you.
Thank you, Alexander. Always tackling the idea of complexity, which I like so much, because there nothing simple. Complexity. So main points raised that we should bring the media and information literacy to our cities, to local governing bodies, the power of technology and the new threats to democracy, and how to make of media and information literacy the solutions to for the survival of democracy, and for taking advantage of technologies, the generative artificial intelligence, the non-human aspects of agency, and the lifelong learning, and how to empower digital content creators with the media and information literacy. So many important points to take into consideration in our discussion. Next speaker is our friend and colleague, Professor Esther Hamburger. She is a professor of history of film and media at the School of Communication and Arts of the University of Sao Paulo in Brazil. She is currently the Vice Director of the Museum of Contemporary Art at the University of Sao Paulo in Brazil, and she is a co-coordinator of the UNESCO-MILID University network. She has many publications and many activities, and she is very active. So a warm welcome to you, Esther, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Drissia. It's always a pleasure to work with you and with our family, how Alton said in his talk. And I'm very glad that we are doing this panel and that since the beginning of the panel, we are facing the crucial challenges that the world is going through right now. And I'm very, like Drissia said, I'm just, now I'm the vice director of the museum. And here I'm thinking, coming from the audiovisual, my work here is to stress the importance of the audiovisual in the arts. And it's very connected with the museum, has a very strong educational program. And it was one of the pioneer places for video art in Brazil. And we are already dealing with questions related to archives. And I've been thinking about archives are a very crucial dimension of artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence works with huge databases, right? In order to have a ChatGPT, you have to have like computers, so huge computers that in Brazil, we don't have them. So just to give an idea about the concrete problems that we are dealing with. It's not like, I think Alexandre did a very good talk on the ways in which technology and power are connected nowadays. I want to clarify that this power is so strong that the world is going to be redivided. It's already, right? There are those places and those corporations who have the strong computers and who control the data, and those who don't. We are, like the people, citizens are reduced to databases, to the source of databases. And I think that a good way to characterize the world that is emerging is like a corporation totalitarianism. We are going through things that are similar to what our parents in the 20th century went through. But the world is another one. And even though there is a populist and a nationalist rhetoric, there is also an against the state and against the public institutions discourse that favors the big tech corporations who are in control of the technology and of the databases. So my point is that I think that as a network on media literacy, one of the things we have to pay attention to now is to to archives. When I say archives, and I'm sure we are in this network rich in people who come from the information sciences, and I think we are very specially qualified for this challenge, which is to gather alternative archives so that we can understand what the intelligence, what the artificial intelligence is and where it is going through, so that we can be critical, we can know how the algorithms are being made, and we can be qualified to propose different algorithms and to follow and understand what is being done and how we are being classified and how the contents that are offered to us in the internet are being filtered. And we have to have archives and huge databases and huge computers to be able to ask questions and to propose questions and to propose methodologies. So I think that the idea of, I think Alexandre is right when he says that the municipalities, the local is very important, because it's where we are, it's our roots, and it's where life is. So, and also because the national powers are being questioned. I think this is a very important feature of what we are going through, is like the governments are becoming weak in face of the corporations, the transnational corporations. So the local is very important, but this kind of association that we have here, this kind of network, is also very important. And in the sense that if we manage to make it work as like a coordinated, alternative, democratic, open to diversity, open to the notion of the public space, which is being threatened a lot. So if we think of ourselves as a common, as reinforcers of public arenas and for diversity and for democracy, and in a practical way, I think we could think about reinforcing public access to archives of information. So like streaming companies and information media should share somehow their archives for research. So I think there's one agenda that goes that way. Another agenda could go through like the digital versus the quantum, in the sense that the digital is bipolar, whereas the quantum is more relational. So I think to be an avant-garde in the technological front, we should open a line of studies in that sense, how the quantic energia quântica, how it can perhaps be an alternative to the bipolar quality of the digital. Anyway, just throwing some ideas about how to pursue in this line of creating a critical media thought and a critical media practice. That's what I think we should. I think the idea of thinking about a culture is good, more than a discipline, like a culture, a critical way of thinking and practicing and creating media and information. Just to feed the debate.
José Manuel?
Thank you. Esther, thank you. Thanks a lot. I think you have insisted on the necessity to equilibrate the power of corporation. You are saying that the government has no power now in front of this big corporation, more or less, that democracy and freedom and diversity is on risk, high risk, because this kind of power. And you have insisted on the idea that the archives, because they are on the base of artificial intelligence, it's a crucial question because there are some countries that they have not the possibility to preserve these archives, and you propose the perspective of cultural analysis, a cultural study, because it's a global approach to a big problem. I agree with you totally, and perhaps we must retain some of ideas you and Alexander have put it in this. I mean, the role of local now, the role of big corporation now, and how to preserve democracy, freedom, and culture and diversity. I think this is a good way to focus on to create a new media literacy program for the next decade. Drissia, you continue.
Could you please introduce next speaker, Abdelhamid? And for the speakers, please, for this first round, it's only an introduction. Then you will have a second round in which you will present your ideas, because you have not heard from Alton. He gave only the introduction. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Abdelhamid is a professor in university in a very important part of the globe, the Arab countries, and just in face of one of the most complicated zone of the world today, the Mediterranean. And he's working on linguistic communication, about regulation of communication, and you have an original perspective about this problem. Please, is your turn.
Okay, thank you, José. Thank you, Professor Chouit, and thank you, Professor José, for gathering us. Okay, it means MILID and Alliance reflects on the role of MIL in our society. So I think the the big timely topic now is how to invest MIL to solve social problems in a way, and to have to deal with the social issues. Okay, so my priorities or my research agenda or my priorities concerning MIL are the following. One, I think the future of humanity in the age of artificial intelligence is in danger. Despite, I think, the improving quality of human life and production, the new generation of artificial intelligence have resulted in numerous risks and challenges. So we need, I think, effective governance and effective legislation. what we can do here, I think, preserving human values. And in the age of artificial intelligence, human values are lost, and we need to regain them, to preserve them again. And this is one of the solutions, of course. My priority number 2 is the status of education in the age of artificial intelligence. And here I would like to focus on rethinking plagiarism in this era, because as artificial intelligence becomes integrated in the academic sphere, it necessitates a re-evaluation of originality of research and the frameworks governing intellectual property. I think it is a necessity here to re-evaluate what our students think, write, and during the research paper and during their doctoral dissertation, okay, we need to evaluate, re-evaluate the writing, because the boundaries or the border between the author and what students deliver is blurred, it's not clear cut. So we need a re-evaluation of plagiarism. Number 3 is MIL in the age of humanitarian crisis. As we know, the world, as José said in the beginning, the world is undergoing very complex and very deep changes, or maybe negative changes in the world. If governments and states, for example, cannot stop war, cannot resolve conflicts, what we as MIL advocates can do to solve problem, or to at least to reduce negative consequences of wars, what happens now occurring in Ukraine, negative consequences of war occurring in the Middle East and in Africa too, in Africa too. So I think we need MIL to intervene, at least to raise awareness of the danger of war nowadays. Question number 4, what we call culture mediation in peace education. Culture of peace education promotes, as you know, positive values, positive attitudes, and we have to teach. If we need the peace, we have to teach peace. If we need the peace in the world, we need to teach our students peace and to teach them how to, it means behave with other people coming from different cultures, coming from different religions, regardless their color, their religion, and their identity. Peace education is very necessary in the 21st century because peace education and teaching is teaching about human rights, and it is for human rights. A very important step in the 21st century. Peace education teaches us gender equality, non-violence, social justice, critical thinking. And we need to build a culture of peace and education of peace. And we can even call about culture intermediation. It means culture of other people and how cultures interfere between each other and to know each other. The last point, I think, of my preoccupation, perhaps some of you, some scholars mentioned the word cooperation. I focus on the word cooperation from different angles. As we belong to the MILID, there is no cooperation between us. We are more than 20 university members, more alliance members, and since the launch of MILID in 2011 until now, there is no cooperation between our universities. there is no cooperation about our teams. I remember perhaps in 2014, UNESCO remember exchange of students, 2014, and Arthur is here. I personally received 2 or 3 students from Brazil, from Jamaica, and no university in the Europe accept my students. Why? Because the problem of visa. Okay, why not promote this cooperation between our universities and your university? And remember, please, you, for example, you belong to countries where milk is developed, and we belong to countries where milk is still in the beginning. So we need your help. We need you, for example, to promote milk in the world. And I think it is urgent if you want like to talk about cooperation, and we have to start about cooperation at you. It's been members of the MILID and members of Alliance. And unfortunately, I repeat, since the launch of the MILID, no cooperation has been established. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abdelhamid. In fact, very important and interesting points raised. We will start with the last one because we are building a network for cooperation, and it is the time that we need more cooperation between members of the MILID and members of the Alliance, because we have all the challenges that were raised by all the previous speakers and that will be elaborated on by the coming speakers. Big changes that are happening in the world, and we are a family, and we should act as a family supportive. And it is not a kind of help that we are asking. No, it is something of mutual cooperation and mutual benefit from this network. And
sorry, I am not asking for.
Okay.
Sorry, I am not asking for concrete help. I am not in a poor position to ask your help, madam. I am asking for scientific cooperation. I agree. Please, this is very important, because you, for example, you belong to universities where milk is developed. Yes or no? And we belong to not developed. So we need help in some way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think
we will not go into.
Yes.
Yes, we will not go into discussion.
No, just one line, Dr. Chouit,
Yes.
just one line, just to say that we should make a distinction between the desire for more cooperation and saying that there's no cooperation. There's been a lot of cooperation, but there is a desire, there is a need for more and deeper cooperation. And hopefully this global media and information literacy research agenda
Let's
can
call it more
accelerate
cooperation.
that process.
Yes, true. Yes, we achieved a lot since the launch of the MILID in 2011. In 2019, it was adopted by the General Conference of UNESCO. In 2021, it was adopted by the General Assembly of the United Nations. And recently, it was highlighted as an important element by the Pact for the Future. So all this is due to our collective work. Abdelhamid highlighted the importance of peace education, the importance of helping students to preserve the academic integrity while empowering them with the AI literacies, and the importance of highlighting saving humanity using media and information literacy. Next speaker is our friend and colleague, Sherry Hop-Calver. She is the founding member of the UNESCO-MILID University Network. She serves as director of the Center for Media and Information Literacy at Temple University in the United States. where she is a full professor of instruction in the Klein College of Media and Information Literacy and directs the certificate in children's media. She is very active in the field and she is very cooperative too. The floor is yours, Sherry. Sorry, I could not say all the elements on your CV because of time constraints.
That's quite all right. Thank you so much, Drissia. And as so many have mentioned, it's a pleasure to see everyone, at least in one space, if we cannot be in person together. And you know, as each person, I'm sure this is happening for everyone, as each person is talking, we're thinking of other points and affirming concerns that we have. And so I really want to build on what's been said. Nothing has been said yet that I feel isn't important, right? We're really building on this. Many of you know that my focus has been on children. I'm really interested and concerned with how children understand media and media just as a term versus technology, media literacy, media and information literacy, where that sits in their lives. And as devices get more autonomous in some ways and capable, I worry more about what they understand and what they're how they're able to process that information. And so that's, you know, when I think of sort of the provocative areas for me of concern, I think about artificial intelligence and children's understanding of where it fits into their lives. And that connects to another sort of similar issue for me, which is that the place that I see that the place that I see children articulating that now is in their relationship with what I'm going to call personal digital assistants. So things like Alexa and Siri. The podcast that I do, I talk to children all the time about their relationships with media, and their relationship with Alexa and Siri is seamless. They have digital assistants in their homes, in their rooms. They talk to them all the time. They call them by names. They give them gendered pronouns, right? He and she. They have a relationship with these devices that is, I actually feel like they don't see it as a device at all. They see it as another, not human, but another person in their lives, another thing in their lives that they talk to. And so when we think about the growth of AI and how we are helping our youngest humans to understand how media is influencing them and artificial intelligence, I think that's a pivotal place. Not that adults are, it's not that it's too late for adults, but I think if we really want to affect change, starting with children is key. And children are using media and have relationships with media and relationships with artificial intelligence that they don't see as artificial intelligence. And so that's going to build more deeply, because artificial intelligence will just continue to get more seamless for all of us. And so I think having them, it's critical that they understand that at an early age. So that, I think, is worth researching and discussing more deeply. The second point is that, you know, you all know that I came off of a very difficult week in the election here, and it will be an interesting time. That's the best I can say about it right now. But one of the things that we saw over the last through the campaign, and there's been a sort of a signaling that this will get worse, is the weaponizing of MIL. And I worry deeply about this. I think that when media and information literacy educators talk, we often will say doesn't take a political stance, right? Our goal is not to tell you what to think about your life, but for you to understand media and make good decisions about your use and your understanding of it. However, politicians, some governments, but particularly when I'll talk about the United States, I'm seeing many more elected officials regarding MIL as a progressive position, and that frames it as being against what is going to be our new government and a more conservative stance against people that are more religious. It is being positioned that way. So it's led already to book banning, teachers not being able to access media in classrooms, things that you might have thought would not have been things that would happen in the United States, but are and will most certainly be growing. So I'm very concerned about the weaponization of MIL. And I think it might have been Alex, I'm not sure who mentioned this initially, but this merging of politics and media is connected to this other issue, but I think is important too. Again, in the United States, we've watched the ex-owner, Elon Musk, be deeply connected to the campaign with Donald Trump and has been promised a role in the administration. It's widely acknowledged that X will become a political arm of the government because he's already been using it that way. So you're taking something that is one of the preeminent social media companies of the world and putting a person, allowing I guess let me say politics and media, and the third piece of that really is money. Politics, media, or wealth, right? Not just money, but wealth. I think it's difficult to understand for many of us, how wealthy someone like Elon Musk is. And so when you are considering past history of elections, voting, democracy, the will of the people, sort of all of those concepts, but you have a person who has enough money to really not be affected by any of those things. So if everyone who was on X was angered by Elon Musk and decided to drop their account and Elon Musk lost billions of dollars, it would not matter to him. He has enough. He has more than enough money to make up for that loss. That really alters the political environment and the media environment and how they're tied together. And so I think that is a danger that we really need to think about. And then the last piece for me, just on a day-to-day basis, is in higher education. I am frequently concerned at what college students value in terms of mis and disinformation, privacy, and surveillance, like those areas. And I think when someone was talking before, I wrote a note for myself that said, you cannot teach the student what the student does not value. And so when we talk about, that democracy is important, or MIL is important, or privacy is important, unless we help young people to understand why those things are important and what it means when you don't have those things, we can come up with the best MIL programs in the world, and they will not absorb that information. And so that for me is a constantly concerning issue. This week in my media literacy class, we talked specifically about privacy and surveillance issues and spent a deep amount of our time, much of our time, talking about why someone would need privacy and why you should be concerned about surveillance. Their willingness to forego privacy for the convenience of some other, for some other convenience is top of mind for them. And so it was really a challenging conversation. So I know that we have so much to talk about and other people as well. So I'm going to leave it at that, just to put forth a few issues that we could address either in the future or in research that we would do. And I appreciate the time. Thanks, everyone.
José Manuel?
Thanks a lot, Sherry. I think your ideas are very important, crucial today, especially today, because you have started saying that the children doesn't know the artificial intelligence. They talk about phantasm. They don't know what happened with that. But I feel that now we are in the world where the power is invisible. We cannot know which are managing the real power, because the corporation, and you has mentioned the recent election in the United States, indicate that we are in a new age, with the power of money controlling global corporation on network, media, satellites, artificial intelligence can act in connection with state power. And this is danger for peace, for freedom, for media environment, etc., etc. And you have finished saying that your concern is about in the young people doesn't know about privacy. They don't distinguish surveying or using the networks. And then I retain your idea about the necessity we have today to defend media and information literacy, because there are a lot of many politics that they use. They attack continually this our objective of critical thinking, freedom, etc., etc. Thanks a lot, because I think we are creating a new focus on our program, putting in touch the culture of peace, the culture of archives and diversity, the necessity to keep the democracy and social justice. And thanks a lot. Now I think is our friend Sami Taye. Perhaps this, I don't know.
Yes, please introduce Sami.
Okay, it's very difficult to introduce Sami because he's everywhere. He's making revolution everywhere. When Dr. Sami is doctor from Leicester University on media. He's doctor in French University too. He has two doctorates, a long experience mediating between people. He was working for the United Nations on the Nile zone, trying to mediate between the states about the use of water, one very important today. And he has a long experience about media information literacy. I won't mention the last big conference organized in Egypt, in the headquarters of Arab League, where the proposal was one clear how media and information literacy can contribute to global understanding. I think you can start for this idea, Sami, please.
Okay, thank you very much, José Manuel. I would like to thank you and thank Drissia for organizing such an important gathering of minds. I'm going to use the term of Alton. Alton always say it's a gathering of minds, and that's correct. Thank you again. It has always been my pleasure to work with all of you, all the friends, and UNESCO has always been very supportive for us, and it has been my pleasure to be collaborating with UNESCO for nearly the last 35 years, right? So with Luis Artigas and Vladimir Guy, and now our present hero, Alton, Dr. Alton Grezel. Thank you, Alton, for all your efforts and all your initiatives. You are always coming with new ideas, new initiatives, and you are bringing us together all the time. Thank you very much indeed for all your efforts. I'm not going to repeat what was mentioned.
Thanks to UNESCO. Real pleasure.
Yes, it's oh, thank you, Alton. You are a great man. You're a good man and very loyal, and you're doing your best to bring us together to encourage intercultural dialogue and these are that. Thank you very much indeed. And let me say, I'm not going to repeat what was mentioned. You have already mentioned some great ideas and great interventions. But what I would like to say here is that we all belong to one human civilization. And within this human civilization, we have some kind of different cultures. And the differences among these cultures, they will not spoil our human communication. By contrast, they are going to reach our human civilization. But unfortunately, we live in a world full of problems: violence, terrorism, wars, negative stereotypes about each other. The media are becoming, especially negative media, especially digital media, are becoming platforms for misinformation, disinformation, bad news, and they seem to politicize religions. If you look at Judaism, Christianity, Islam, they are all the same. They are all for peace, for love, and for helping each other. But unfortunately, there is some kind of tendency to politicize religion. And that's why we have all these hassles in the digital media. I think here, the approach to counter all these hassles through two important mechanisms. Number one, intercultural dialogue. We have to keep on talking to each other so we can understand each other better, and we can show respect to each other in a better manner. That's number one. Number two, I think media and information literacy is going to be one of the most important tools here. And here I would like to refer to a report which was produced by the latest global economic forum in Davos. It was entitled, High Risk Report. And according to this report, misinformation has become one of the most important problems which are facing the world. And it was also indicated that media education would be one of the most important mechanisms to counter these, misinformation and this information. So therefore, these are two important mechanisms I'm thinking of. And let me conclude by a kind of a more pragmatic proposal. As we talk about the need for a global research agenda, I think now it is time to talk about a need for a global agenda for activities, right? What I want to say here, for example, Sherry, she organizes summer schools. I can see it from time to time. Drissia, she is organizing meetings and conferences. José Manuel and myself, we are organizing meetings and summer schools here and there. Why don't we start by the new year, 2025, by putting a proper global agenda about all activities which would take the place all over the world, so we can all be involved and we can all be taking part in such events. That's what I want to say, and that's my proposal for this meeting. Thank you again, and I look forward to meeting you in person very soon.
Thank you, Sami. Yes, you raised the important issue of our common humanity, which is with the richness of our cultural diversity. Unfortunately, it is not most of the time seen as a richness, but as a threat, and polarizing religions, which are at the essence made for peace. We all fully agree in this network that the most dangerous threat to us and to humanity is the threat of disinformation and hate and inacceptance of the other, while we should be living all together in coexistence. In addition to a global research agenda, a good idea to have a global agenda for our activities as a global network, and so that we can be involved all together, be it in person or virtually. This will strengthen the network more. Thank you, Sami. Next speaker is our colleague, Mr. Blaise Pascal Anzongo. He currently is the lead of the Africa Region chapter in the International Steering Committee of Media and Information Literacy Alliance, and he is the founder and director of the Cameroonian Association for Media Literacy, which received the 2023 Media and Information Literacy Prize. And he is an international MLA consultant. He trained so many young people in many parts of Africa. And actually, he is a PhD candidate, and his PhD topic is on the psychological mechanisms of disinformation. Blaise, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Drissia, for the invitation. I'm very glad to participate to this kind of discussion among the experts around the world. I'm very happy, and when I understand what all the others experts have speak. I don't know if I have a lot of thing of the some, because a lot of the topic like intelligence, artificial intelligence, and some philosophic aspect as ethic and moral in the practice in the digital practice. That is one of some point I wanted to speak about what we need in the 10 years. But I wanted to add some points. One of the points is that the point of the intergenerational competencies, because when most of the time pass, you have the impression that there is the intergenerational divide in terms of digital skill in between the parents and the young people. So I think parent need to support in navigating digital space to develop their own MIL competency, to understand online risk and opportunity facing the young people. That is what we call digital parenting. One point, because many problems we have now and we have in the future about the media and information practices is that many parents cannot don't have the competency to find to go on with their children. That is one of the big point for me. Adding what the other point is about the funding. The funding is a very big problem. For example, in Africa, in Cameroon, there is not funding about the action of the MIL action. That is a big problem, because when we have some operator of disinformation who can have a lot of money about the disinformation strategy, there is not a lot of funding about the strategy in MIL. So we need to fund action, we need to give money for the organization, for the school, for the researcher, so that many action to spot disinformation, for example, to spot hate speech, can emerge. That is the second point. The third point is about the resources. I think it's true that UNESCO, for example, and many experts have developed a lot of resources, but I think there is not very the resources are not very contextualized. Because, for example, I take the example of Cameroon, where we have more than 250 languages. Some of the resources we have in the website of UNESCO or other platform cannot be very used useful for the people on some of the regions Cameroon because of the barrier of the language, because of the level of digital literacy. So when we can invest more in the in the contextualized resources, and you can use, for the instance, the artificial intelligence to adapt very concrete and rapidly the resources, especially for the crisis zone. That is three points I want to add, because I don't want to come with the order of artificial intelligence and other points. That is what I want to say for the first time. Thank you.
José?
Thanks a lot. I think that Blaise has put real problems, real question about how to enhance the media and information literacy through investment, through supports, because there is a gap among families and young and children. And then these are real difficulties we have put, no? I don't know if, I suppose in every country they have specific problems, but I think Blaise is talking about Africa in general.
Thank you, José. In fact, the language barriers also and the intergenerational barriers and digital parity, these are important points. We go back to Alton to listen from him. Alton, please enlighten us with what you think the priorities for the next coming years.
No, I think, again, UNESCO, thank everyone. I listened quite keenly the intervention that came before, and it makes my inputs, additional inputs, much easier in terms of what have been shared by the experts so far. And so perhaps what I will try to do, without repeating what was already said, many of these suggestions in terms of research, UNESCO align with many of these suggestions. What I'll try to do is to give a little bit of a context for that we should consider for a global media and information literacy agenda, what sort of context that we should keep in mind, and as well as highlighting a few areas that UNESCO is embarking upon, which I did not hear from other researchers that spoke earlier. So firstly, I think we need to, going back to this point of truth, and the quote that I started from with the philosopher Baruch Spinoza, he who knows how to distinguish between truth and false must have an adequate idea of truth and false. Research is about searching for truth. Research is about searching for truth. It requires truthfulness. And then we are agreeing that if we are going to develop a global research agenda, it's important to see media and information literacy as a search for truth as well, And so if research is about the search for truth, and media and information literacy is also about the search for truth, then in fact, the suggestion for a global research agenda is that the researchers who are involved in the global research agenda and MILID should not be only media and information literacy experts, if you know what I mean. The idea is that all researchers should be promoting media and information literacy, because then this is the way all people can become researchers in their own right. And this is, I believe, this is the vision that we have, listening to all the socio-political and development issues that were shared earlier, and how MILID could be helping to respond to these issues that research is about truth, the search for truth. Media and information literacy is also about the search for truth. Then a global research agenda should look to extend beyond experts in media and information literacy, but partnering with all researchers in other domains. And this is what I've been shared so far, that MILID is connected to so many other important domains around privacy and disinformation and surveillance and AI and cultural understanding and empathizing, the issue of depoliticizing, people's individual religious beliefs and all those areas. I think, yeah. So let me jump from that. I think we have to, and I think this discussion is a good start to re-stimulate, true public intellectualism, that can drive social change, and a sort of a public intellectualism that does not remain only in the academic sphere. And I think Professor Samitai said it, and other professors who spoke earlier made this point very clearly. I remembered it from Professor Samitai because he said, in addition to a global research agenda, we need a global action agenda. And I think the two are not mutually exclusive. I think we definitely can have both. And UNESCO and many partners around the world have been putting in place this global action agenda. And I think this is necessary. There needs to be an alignment between a global research agenda and a global action agenda. And I think it's not so hard to do, because most of you who are here as public intellectuals, as professors, as researchers, you're also involved in on-the-ground activities, concrete, pragmatic action. So you're not just academically oriented, but you're action oriented. And so that bridge, building that bridge should not be very difficult. And I think we can go back to the very old theory of participatory research. And this is something that UNESCO is also encouraging. And this is how we do a lot of our research, that it is participatory research, meaning that, of course, you know what this means, but it involves the different stakeholders in the research process, and it's action-oriented. So as you're implementing actions and projects, you build research into that. I think this is an old approach that we really need to go back to as we look at the challenges with generative artificial intelligence, and that our world is becoming more mediated. Again, in terms of context, we should keep in mind that media and information literacy is about lifelong learning. And there's a lot of research, longitudinal research needs to be considered as we move, not just short-term project-based research, but long-term research. This is the only way we can see the impact, for example, of media and information literacy on democratic values and ideals, is that if we're having long-term longitudinal type studies and linking that practically to MILID for lifelong learning. So both the academic approach and the pragmatic action-oriented approach. I think it has been said very clearly that media and information literacy is clearly needed in the context of technology, and the fact that people are becoming more, spending more time online. So this is important. But we also need to keep in mind, research that is not only technological oriented, because this is a risk that the research community could fall into a trap to ensure that a global research agenda is solely focused on the new technology. It must be, it's a priority, perhaps the number one priority, because digital technology is here to stay. You have mentioned it so much, but we need to combine that with research strategy that is tailored to offline stakeholders and an audience as well, and dealing with issues offline, because many of these social issues, they start offline. Some of them they do start online, but some they start offline. So we need research that consider these offline dimensions. I think very importantly is the unpacking the different tenets of media and information literacy and how it links to research. And I think this was said earlier. I think it was Sherry that mentioned, Professor Sherry that mentioned the issue of values. And I think she spoke about MILID in higher education and what college students, really, what do they value? We're developing all these resources, and what do they value? Do they value politics and democratic processes and misinformation? Do they value their privacy and surveillance? And I think that issue of value is fit within a framework of perhaps 4 or 5 other areas. One is knowledge, understanding the engines and what is fueling these engines of information, both digital and non-digital, the issues around people's attitude, people having that autonomy and their engagement, both offline and offline. So knowledge, attitude, the sort of skills that they need, we talk about that a lot, the type of skills they need. And importantly, emotions, that people are operating so much on emotions, and that link between the cognitive and the affective in terms of media and information literacy, linking MILD to emotional and social learning. I think this is important. So these 5 areas, I believe, that should frame, these are different dimensions of MIL content, but should be connected to the research, the knowledge level, the attitudinal level, the skills, the values, and the emotions. I think all of these, from a UNESCO standpoint, they're connected and can really inform research. Just to wrap up in terms of a few gaps from the excellence recommendations that were made by all the speakers before, is one in connection with some work that this MILID network started with UNESCO around media and information literacy expansion, with our MILEX, where content, resources, Pascal spoke earlier about the type of localization of resources and contextualization of resources in local languages and for different groups and crisis groups. This is important, this point that Pascal made, because MIL expansion right now, the work that we're doing on MIL, a lot of resources that we're doing and the research that we're doing is focusing on individuals. And the truth is that society is not being driven by only individuals, society is being driven by groups of individuals and by institutions and many subgroups within those groups. So we need to look into research around MIL, not just for individuals, but for group and also for institutions. So for example, media and information literacy in the workplace is another area that could be around MIL expansion. One area that UNESCO is looking into in a significant way is around digital content creators. They're becoming important in terms of shaping national, local, and global opinion and the sort of agenda of what people should think about. And there is a big opportunity for that. UNESCO, we have launched a survey for digital content creators around their attitude on media and information literacy, their actions, their ethical practices, and considerations around media and information literacy. And then we are trying to build their capacity. We have also launched a MOOC, a massively open online course on media and information literacy and issues around freedom of expression and access to information for digital content producers. And this fits into the idea of MIL expansion, because this is a unique group, even though this group is not homogeneous. Then there is also around youth organization. We need to get back to that. We cannot forget the important aspect of research on MIL in education. We have not started to scratch the surface of this area in terms of a 10-year global research agenda. This is what the research companies go back to that, because this is where we need to make sure that MIL is in education, is firmly within education, that there's a lot more research supporting the benefits of MIL in education. Voila. So a final point as I wrap up is around what you have all been talking about, which is digital platforms and powerful digital platforms. UNESCO, we are doing a lot of work around that. Having organized the Internet for Trust conference last year, February, here in Paris, and having launched the global guidelines for the governance of digital platform, while protecting and defending freedom of expression and access to information. Coming out of that is the work that you have also contributed around media and information literacy in the governance of digital platform. And research needs to be considered around that area. Media and information literacy in the governance of digital platform. We're developing an action plan on that. As a complementary approach, we're also looking to launch and we need more investigation into a sort of a global media partnerships on media and information literacy. So yes, the digital platform, but also the traditional media. We see how this worked excellently in past with climate change, media partnerships on climate change, media partnerships on HIV/AIDS back in the 70s and 80s had a lot of impact and generated a lot of research. And this is one area that we are also keen on advancing. Just to close, I think that what we need is to consider is what UNESCO is calling media and information literacy by design. You know, how can AI, journalism, libraries, and archives, and other stakeholders, earlier Alexandre spoke about MIL cities and the local dimensions of MIL in city spaces. How can we have media and information literacy by design, not just with traditional actors, but non-traditional actors, the healthcare sector, the entertainment industry, you know, the commercial and private sector, the big shopping centers. How can we embed MIL in that dimension, in this social life, I should say? So we need to think about this. I think a lot of research needs to be done about this. Again, not just around AI, you know, helping people online to acquire MIL competencies, but how other stakeholders, as I said, can be involved in that process. We need to re-stimulate media and information literacy. For trust, we need to re-stimulate peer education of media and information literacy. There needs to be research around that. And I think all of you said some dimension about that. How can individuals educate each other about media and information literacy, both offline and offline, and what action and research is needed in that area. We need to go back to looking at MIL and religions, and I think a couple of persons mentioned MIL in families and the parents. Pascal also mentioned that point earlier. I'm going to stop there so that we can wrap up. I think importantly, you know, from UNESCO standpoint, is to say to you that this global research agenda on media and information literacy, juxtaposed with a global action agenda on media and information literacy, is really urgent. It is your work and many other stakeholders around the world that has advanced MIL to the point where it is now. You know, governments around the world are paying attention to media and information literacy. Despite the risk of politicization of MIL, as Professor Sherry mentioned earlier, governments around the world are paying attention to this area. We see it in the Pact for the Future. The Pact for the Future, which is connected to the Sustainable Development Goals, beyond the Sustainable Development Goals, which was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly. 193 countries, you know, adopted the Pact for the Future. Media and information literacy is firmly placed in that pact for the future as an important, necessary global action item, you know, for the future that we want. And so this research agenda is really connecting and can follow up to indicators and a lot of data around MIL impacting the future of the world. So with that, I want to stop there, and then hopefully we can wrap up and have a little bit of exchange.
Thank you, Alton. In fact, you see, you built on all that was discussed and bring in the new elements from the UNESCO vision. One element which was not enough highlighted is the MIL for climate change and for saving the planet. I think that we should, it is a priority area, So from all these speakers, we keep, they are complementary, the public sphere for political deliberation, the public sphere, media and information literacy for the public, as a public, creating a public sphere by Esther, the weaponization of media and information literacy in the United States is so clear, but maybe it is taken away in the in other countries. We have to pay attention to it too. The peace education, as Abdelhamid highlighted it, yes, the world is threatened, yes, but we should not talk only about how to avoid wars, how to solve conflicts. We have to build peace in the minds of our students and pupils, and we do need a education for peace if we want to change the world. As Sami said, the global understanding and taking the cultural diversity and religious diversity as a richness and not a threat, and building awareness about this key element in our shared humanity, tackled, yes, the problem of languages. We should make this information attitude, knowledge about media information literacy available to all by native languages and local languages. All these very important elements. Jose Manuel, maybe you want to add other elements that were very important and discussed.
No, I think that, thank you, Drissia. No, I think that the ideas that Alton has suggested are very, very crucial and very important, because he's describing media and information literacy as a tool to all people, scientific, academics, researchers, politics, etc., etc. That means that it's a good instrument, media and information literacy, to have a good dialogue among cultures, a good election, a good decision in elections, a good practices in health habits, or preserving our environment. And then that put media and information literacy as a key instrument in our new culture, scientific culture and political culture. That, I think, he's proposing to inform in our research agenda, not only to the researcher on media and information literacy, but the rest of researchers, incorporating the problems of the media and information literacy interdisciplinarity in a way of global interdisciplinarity. I understand. And then for me, to solve this focus on research media information literacy is to act, is to implement the bridge into knowledge and action. And the bridge is the cooperation, as Delamir has said. Our objective is it must to provide a new bridge of cooperation between researchers and policymakers. I think this is a global resume of our intervention. And I think that this meeting can be the first one of a series of meetings that we must conclude in some months to decide which are our shared research agenda.
True, and we cannot not agree. Now, there is a question in Spanish in the chat. I don't understand Spanish. If you, Jose or Sami, can see please questions and answers. There is a long paragraph written in Spanish.
Yes,
can you please answer that question or comment, or I don't know what was written.
Jose Manuel, you should do that. Yes. You know, my Spanish is not that good.
Yes, I tried to translate. It's Reni Gerardo Vergara is asking, how to adapt our habits in relation with the technological change. And then he's promoting the learn to learn, and we need new new methodology in education and acquisition of competencies. I think I'll try to translate in the chat the intervention of Reni Giraldo. Thanks a lot, Reni, for your suggestion. He's connecting us from Venezuela, Caracas.
So anyone wants to say a word to him about the need for new pedagogies for MLI and to take
Yes,
the...
please.
Please.
Yes, okay. Can I have the floor?
Yes.
Yes, I think global research agenda, I think needs cases of study. It means we move from theory to practice. And when we stop on cases of study, I think the role of MILID become tangible. This is number one. Number two, the idea of research global activities is exactly what I meant in my intervention. This is cooperation. It means we have to work in a team. And when a member of a team organizes an activity, all other members have to attend and to share the same activities. Thank you.
Thank you. Then anyone wants to say anything, or shall we give it 1 minute to... Yes, Sherry?
Sorry, I just wanted to quickly mention, just to build on something that Alton said, because he was highlighting the need for institutions to be involved and for us to think about new kinds of partners. And at the risk of being a little promotional here, I'm just going to share this. This is a new report that I had that came out just about a week or two ago. And it specifically talks to the children's media industry about the need to consider the way we create content for children, and media literacy is included in that. So just a note for everyone. It's a free download,
Can you share
PDF
it?
download. I'm
Sherry,
sorry?
Can you share it? Can you share it with us, please?
Or
The-
the
If you
link,
have a kind
please.
of...
I put the link in our chat. I would love to share with the folks who are on our webinar, but I can say that if you go to even my contact information, it's a free PDF download link that people can access.
Thank you, Sherry. Yes, it is also available on your social media. You shared it on your LinkedIn account, but Sherry has just sent the link. So you click on the link, and then you will get access to that document. Esther?
I think this was a very productive brainstorm on the contemporary challenges that we face after we had like 15 years of like, well, a very good development of MILID initiatives in around us. How do we step from that solid base to facing the challenges posed by AI and by the political shifts we are going through? And I think we can try to systematize some topics and move ahead in this process of consolidating a shared research agenda. Having like, I don't know, months or bi-months panels like this, perhaps.
Thank you, Esther. In fact, José Manuel suggested that this could be the first of a series of panels, and we can continue discussing with the members, experts, or opening also, as Alton said, to other disciplines in an interdisciplinary with new innovative contributions to media and information literacy to make it accessible to all researchers. Maybe Jose Manuel, and all friends, we can create something like a platform or a wiki or something, so that we can contribute and we can ask other people to contribute to it. After that, we will synthesize the information. This is an idea. To share it with the global community, and then to get feedback from as many people as possible. We invited the Jose Manuel to our International Steering Committee of the UNESCO-MILID Alliance because we have monthly meetings, and he was present with us in the last in the last meeting. He highlighted the importance of working together in the research for the MILID yearbook, for this research agenda, and for organizing between the two networks. They should be strengthened by more cooperation.
Maybe, Drissia, first step would be creating a WhatsApp group. Maybe.
Yes, good.
Start with, if you want. Yes, Oswald.
No, for sure, it's a good idea, and to find platforms to discussing articles or proposals or suggestions, and then to fix a plan. We can, I think, we all here, we can engage with these objectives. And Drissia and me, because she's co-chair of Alliance, and I am from the network of university, we can propose you a plan to for the next week. If you agree, we start.
Yes, so just a quick suggestion, because I think on that point that Dr. Chouit mentioned just now, and the other speakers followed up on, is very important in terms of how do we move forward in the future, and how the MILID network and the alliance will be moving forward as a joint stakeholder group, and involving others. Maybe a good starting point, in addition to the ideas shared already, is to if the ideas that were shared in this debate, this session, could be synthesized. Here's an opportunity for cooperation among students in the universities, different universities, to get a number of young researchers, to look into this video, to synthesize all of what was discussed and share, and to organize it in such a manner that it will be useful to other researchers and external partners. And then from there, this could be reviewed by persons who are on this team and others who are involved in the MILID network, enrich that document so that we're moving towards a sort of a global agenda. And then at some point, once all the stakeholders involved are happy in terms of the integrity of the document, and the extent to which it is solid, then it can be open to the public in a form of wiki or some other form, So I mean, this is just a suggestion as to a process that could be followed, so that we can actually track our progress, that the progress can be tracked, and it is gradual, and there are incremental steps being taken with an objective in mind, that there, over a particular period, there will be an official document which the global community will have ownership to, the MILID community, collective ownership, to say this is the global research agenda on media and information literacy, and this is how it's connected to the pact for the future and will contribute to the importance of monitoring and gathering research data on the impact of actions that are set out in the pact for the future. And that could acquire and attract possible resources and financing for this type of a research agenda. So just some suggestions there.
Thank you, Alton. So then, José Manuel, it may be more than you and me, Alton, and members present in this panel, and members. Yeah, you see, this is a big job, and we need collaboration, and we need the input of all.
Of course.
Blaise, do you want to say some concluding words?
No, I think we are very happy. I think we should repeat, as you said, this kind of discussion, because sorry, because I wanted to speak about Africa, but we need in Africa a lot of strategy, a lot of discussion about what we are going to do and what we have to put about misinformation literacy, because a lot of crises are born here, and we need the support of experts, the research. We need funding, we need a lot of things to do it. So I'm available for another discussion, and I wanted to ask you for UNESCO to help us to have it in many languages, because we need to speak to the people in the way they want to integrate, they can integrate our messages.
Thank you, Pascal. Well, I think we did a good job. This is a good starting point. Let us keep discussing and finding the best way to go forward, taking into consideration all the elements discussed today. If anyone wants to add something. Otherwise, I will say thank you very much for your contribution. It was a great pleasure having this panel with you. I learned a lot, and the video recording will be shared with you all, and it will be shared with the MLI community. And as Alton said, this may be the starting point. We will work all collaboratively, friendly, jointly to pave the way forward. We did it very well during the last 13 years. And now we should take the move to have an impact on decision making. And to have an impact on how to make changes in the world, to have a word to say and to have an impact. Thank you all. José Manuel, do you want to say a concluding word?
Thanks a lot to Drissia and all of you. I think we agree that we need a research agenda that must be open, flexible, and global. And then we agree that we need link this agenda with an action plan. And then be sure that we will contribute the best of our part to this global agenda, because it's a new kind of cooperation. Thanks a lot. And of course, our spiritual guide, Alton, will help us in this task. Thanks a lot for your suggestion, Alton, Sherry, Sami, Abdelhamid, Esther, Drissia, Blaise, and the people that is participating, listening our intervention. Thanks a lot. And bye-bye.
UNESCO is happy to be involved. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you to the audience for participating, and we will have other meetings, and then we will keep doing the great work. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. See you.
Okay, bye-bye.